Hi, it's Libby. It's day 18. Doing really well. Whole day started early this morning. I got up really early, did lots of yoga. I'm doing a set of practices today about the lymphatic system and getting the energy moving before winter, because winter's a time where we don't move quite as much. So the lymph needs to be working. So we need to do at least a good hour a day of exercise. So I did 2 hours this morning. So I think I've done my quota for today. And then I went and taught for an hour and a half. So again, we was working the lymphatic system. So I've kind of worked my lymph today and I feel really, really good. So I went into town, and on the way back I thought, oh, I want to buy some flowers. I love fresh flowers in my house, and I buy them quite regularly. And the last 3 weeks nearly, I haven't had any flowers because obviously they're wrapped in plastic and they're always beautifully wrapped and they look amazing. And often the wrapping looks better than the flowers inside, and that encourages to buy the flowers, doesn't it? So I wanted flowers, and I went out just to put some compost in my, some rubbish in my compost bin, and I looked down the road and there's these beautiful sunflowers. And I think what had happened, the birds had pecked the bird feeders on one of my neighbours, and the seeds had gone over, and these flowers are there. There are quite a few more actually, so got a little bit of a supply of beautiful free sunflowers. And look at that one, it's absolutely amazing. It kind of just wants to be there. It's so pretty. And then a little one here, and then a couple at the back that needs to just come out. But yeah, wanted sunflowers, and the universe brings me sunflowers. So I'm going to just leave that on the camera because it's really beautiful. I might just take it back a little bit because it's a bit in the way. Right, so back to nature really. Back to the supply from the universe. And what else can we do today to make ourselves maybe some tea, and just eat from nature? So I went out to have my lunch in my garden because it's a beautiful day. I wanted to film out there, but the camera was quite bright and I couldn't really see very well. So it wasn't a very good video. I tried to video something out there and it didn't work. So I sat and had my lunch. I made some ratatouille with some pasta that I'd made. The lovely organic vegetable box that I had delivered. I had lots and lots of organic tomatoes. I don't eat tomatoes very much. I'm slightly allergic to tomatoes, but I wasn't going to throw them away. So I made this lovely ratatouille. And I think once it's cooked, it's a little bit less acidic. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. Sat outside. And as I sat outside, I just sat for a couple of minutes looking around the garden. And I noticed my ginkgo tree was starting to lose its leaves, and it was getting really dry and they're starting to fall off. So I just took a branch and all these leaves fell off. Now, ginkgo biloba is a plant from the Far East. I think it comes from maybe China. I think its origin is China. And I bought this ginkgo plant about 10 years ago. It was a tiny, tiny little plant from the garden centre. It was about £3. And I thought, that's really pretty. I love the leaves of it. They're really unusual. And it looked a bit sort of oriental, and I like that sort of feel in my garden. So I bought one. It's never actually gone in my garden, and it's actually in a big, big pot on my patio. And I sat there and I just pulled a few leaves off and they started to fall off. Now last year what I did, I collected them all, I dried them in my dehydrator, and then I just sort of sprinkled them into a brown bag, and then I had them as a tea. I also bought some hibiscus flowers, and ginkgo and hibiscus just work so nice together. So if you can get some hibiscus flowers, or even if you grow them, I don't think they grow very well in this country, they go amazing together. So I'm going to show you the leaves that I picked, and I picked loads. I've got this whole tray full of ginkgo. I'm just going to put one up to the camera to show you the shape of it. If you don't know what ginkgo looks like, it has a beautiful, beautiful shape. It almost looks like a bit like a shamrock. Can you see that? It's really, really pretty. And so yeah, and as I'm doing that, the camera's going quite dark, so I don't know what that's about. But anyway, the ginkgo. And this is amazing tea, and it helps with memory, and it helps with energy. So I'm going to dry these just as they are. I'm just giving them probably a little bit of a shake because they might have little bugs on, so I might just go through them, pick over them, because some of them maybe have a little bit of spoilage on them. Maybe some of them have got, insects growing in there and, living in there basically. And some of them are a little bit like, that's a bit brown and a bit dishevelled. Then just put those up off the floor. And so I'm going to dry those. So I shall make a tea with those, and I might blend them with the hibiscus, or I might just keep them separately and just blend them when I feel like it. And then yesterday, I think I showed you these. These are my rose hips, which I wash, and I'm going to go through them today, and I'm going to chop them, top and tail them, chop them in half, get the seeds out. It's going to be a bit of a laborious job, so I need to maybe watch something on YouTube, or a podcast or something, listen to a podcast or the radio while I do this, because it's a bit of a tiring job. It takes me back to when I was a kid. My dad used to have an allotment, and we used to go and get beans and with peas and stuff like that. And I used to sit for hours in my garden with my dad, and we would shell peas together, and he would talk to me and all nice, lovely things. We don't do that much these days, do we? Unless you've got an allotment. But that was really special times, and so that, I think my dad will be there when I'm doing these little rose hips today. I'm sure he will. So these have a lot of history. I was looking on YouTube about a little video about how to make rose hip syrup. So I wasn't a war baby, but I was born a lot longer after the war. But so I don't want to sort of go on about my age, but I don't want to say how old I am, but some of you know. But I remember having rosehip syrup at school, and if you're a certain age, you will remember that. And there's a story behind it. And I thought I'd tell you the story because it's really interesting. The story goes that in the war, in the 1930s, 1939 to 45, the children of England were very much had malnutrition, basically. They didn't have a lot of good food. So the government was getting really worried, and they decided that the rose hips have so much vitamin C, and because there was no fruit hardly growing, there wasn't a lot. So what they used to do, they used to get the children to pick these rose hips. Now rose hips can be as small as these, or they can be quite like a size of a tomato, depending on the rose. So what they would do, they'd get a penny for every pound that they picked. So the children would go down into the forest, and they would pick a pound of these rose hips or more than what they could, whatever they could carry, and they'd take it to the local village, and then what they'd do, they'd send it off to a factory, and the factory made rosehip syrup. It's got a lot of sugar in it, and I remember having it on porridge, and my mum used to make it, and you could actually buy it in the shops at one point. You can't buy it now, I don't think. It's probably somewhere that sells it, like an organic shop or something, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. And so it was a wartime thing, and apparently that whole scheme, it was a scheme in the war, actually ended in 1950. So it was then that it obviously carried on, and they used up probably the supplies they had. And as I remember, as a kid at school, we used to have it on semolina. It had this lovely red sweetness to it, and it was delicious. So I might make some, go back to the war days and make some rosehip syrup. And I might get some really nice glass jars, bottles, and I might make it as little presents. So again, going back to the zero waste, this is not costing me anything, just a bit of time and a bit of love and a bit of patience. So we'll end up with some sort of either some teas or some rosehip syrup. So that's me today, really. Another day without any plastic. I've ordered quite a lot of laundry products, which I want to sort of share with you maybe in the next couple of days to see how they are. I've not received them yet, but I'm buying it in big bulk items. So a big box of washing up liquid that you can decant in your little bottles. I know in some health food shops you can go and buy them, but I thought I've got to go into Leicester, and that's my petrol. That bottle of washing up liquid is going to cost me an awful lot of money. So I bought a big box, and I'm hoping to share it with a couple of other friends so we can save on our bottles and things and just refill them. So I'm going to head off now. I'm going to do some of these lovely red rose hips and get them all chopped up, and I shall be able to show you them tomorrow because I'm going to dehydrate these. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some more and make some rosehip syrup. I've ordered my sugar. I've ordered like about 4 kilo bag of sugar. So again, buying in bulk saves you a lot of waste, and it saves you a lot of time as well. So you don't have to keep going down the shop and buy them. And I've noticed since I've been to this Zero Free, I haven't actually been to the shops much, and when I do, I can't buy anything, so it's a complete waste of time. I can buy some bread if it's not got any packaging around it, and I could always take my own carrier anyway. And I can buy, I'm looking down here at my veggies. So that's it basically. It's very much, like I've said before, very much a vegan sort of diet, with lots and lots of pastas and grains. And I haven't made it yet. I'm going to make some cheese next week. I'm going to order a little bit more milk from the milkman, and I'll show you how to make some cheese from some milk. So again, saving the plastic. So I'm going to sign off. I could chat forever as usual, but it's been really lovely to talk to you today. And me and my sunflower, I'm going to say goodbye. So take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.